Welcome to the Thin Blue Line Outdoors Podcast.
This pig came bottling.
Just ended up puking last night. It sucked.
Whoa! Ah!
We gut it, we wrap it in tinfoil, throw it over the fire.
All right, everyone. This is podcast 96 with Brock. This podcast is going to be all about October success. So when this podcast comes out, it'll be the last Wednesday of the month. And, you know, October usually for us, or at least for me in general, is usually a time just to maybe fill the freezer, get some freezer queens down. And then, you know, this time we're in right now as we record this, which is the 23rd, it's starting to get good. But, you know, it's kind of the lull period. I can say as a team, we have been kicking ass this October. Super excited, and we're going to kind of talk about that. But, you know, we're going to have a bunch of team members on this podcast. Brock's going to lead us off because I would say he's probably had the best October yet when it comes to the team. So, Brock, we'll start off with your freezer queen, and then we'll go from there.
So I've never gotten a deer of bucked out anything on opening day, and I've with my schedule I always get 7 days off in the beginning of October. Just the past several I always have to work them, so this time around I was off, and I went out that morning and saw plenty of does, had an opportunity, kind of very, very heavily quarter two shot. But more importantly, when I got into the stand in the morning, I got this fancy tree arm, and I couldn't find the damn head for it to mount to the tree until I got back in my truck and found that it was in my backpack, and I felt like an idiot. But went home, ate some lunch and whatnot when I went back out. And for like October, I usually see deer, but if they're close, that's flip a coin. But I really, really check the wind a lot. So if the wind's good, I'll go. If the wind's not good, I won't even go out, no matter if it's the rut. That's kind of a different story. But yeah. So with her, I sat in this stand that my uncle and I had up for 3 years now, and we've never killed a deer out of it ever. And
Well,
yeah.
I was going to ask you, part of this, like, what's with that stand? Is that the honey hole, whatever?
No, that one's not.
That
one is not the honey hole. The honey hole is actually 75 yards from it, but we don't touch it until essentially Halloween or the rut. Yeah. So I sat this one because it's on the corner of the field edge, and I can see it's like 470 yards to the north. Mm-hmm. So if something comes out, I can get a good look at them. And it's not an observation stand, but I can use it as it too. So I was seeing a whole bunch of stuff that night. Got a really cool picture of that owl that came out. That was awesome. Mm-hmm. And when I go out, my goal is just to see a deer, because I've been skunked way too many times. I just want to see a deer. So get out there and have the camera arm completely, get that set up. And this is the first time I've ever done the filming thing with my phone. So that's a whole different set of shit going on. So she ends up coming out from where the honey hole is. So this piece of property, it got logged this year, which I cried a little bit inside because a lot of trees got cut down. I mean, it's not like super big property we're at. It's a pretty good size, but they logged quite a bit out, and it was a lot of good trees, but none of our tree stand trees, thank God. But
so did they only take out walnuts, or did they take oaks too?
Oaks too. That's why I puked a little bit. But walnuts, oaks, sycamores too. Like,
really,
I was big old. I mean, dude, these things are huge. I'm a big JR Token fan, so I cried a little bit inside. Yeah, but so when they would go in there, they would have little logging roads in with like ruts from hell. But they came walking up this, and my uncle and I had been hunting this for, I think, 4 years now. But I've been out here with him since I was a little kid. So we're familiar with it, but we've never been out here when it was logged like this. And we were really nervous that we know there's deer out here. There's a shitload, but it was very nerve-wracking are they still going to be here after all that pressure and whatnot? So I had a camera set up, had some really good pictures, and it's October 1st. Might as well go out, send it. So she comes walking up, and I got her on camera, her and a fawn, and I got the shot on camera. So I'm facing north. She's to my right, to the east. So when I turn, my safety harness got hung up on me. So when I come back, I get hung up in it. I'm like, shit. And I like go down and wiggle out and get into it. And I got it on camera, and it zipped through. I shoot very, very heavy broadheads and very heavy arrow setups. She didn't know what hit her. It zipped through her. She took like 7 steps, stood there, and just trotted off 40 yards, done. Just tipped over. But I watched the footage because when I hit her, I had the lighted knock. I had the almighty oh shit moment because I knew it was back. Like I've never shot a deer that far back before, and I was shitting bricks. I watched the footage again. I'm like confirming it. I'm like, and I heard her crash too. But I'm watching the footage back. I'm like, oh my god! Like I hit her. Like I don't even think I got lungs. Like I am in the guts, but I'm way up north. I didn't spine her. Yeah. And I'm looking at my arrow through my binoculars, and it's coated red. I shoot white fletchings, white wrap, the whole 9 yards. The whole damn thing's red. So I got unbelievably lucky and got an artery. Thank God.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask you when you.
I got an artery. I was happy to get her on the. I was happy to shoot a deer. I'm always happy to shoot a deer. I was very not happy with the shot placement because I pride myself on that. And I had a very big thing happen in September. Since then, I had new strings put on my bow, and I already need new strings because I've probably shot 2,000 arrows in that time period. I'm joking. I've blown targets apart since then. So I practice all the time, but I wasn't accounting for getting hung up in that the harness. And then we always shoot. I shoot at tree stands and whatnot, but I'm standing straight up. I'm not crouching down and doing all this other weird shit. And it's no excuse. That's why I missed. And I just got stupidly lucky and got that artery because she died within. I think I on the camera. I think I checked. I think it was like 45 seconds. She was dead. Yeah. I
remember
she just trotted off and just tipped over.
Yeah, I remember I even asked you like how far she'd go because I could tell like on the camera, you know, she's hurt obviously, but she's not like just falling on camera, not just falling down right away. I was like, well, how far is she going? You're like, 40 yards. I'm like, oh, okay, never mind.
Yeah, she didn't know what the fawn I was with her just stood there and was like, what the fuck was that? Like, why you feel all right? And she just just walked off, didn't bust out of there, nothing crazy, and just tipped over. I'm like, oh, thank God. But the artery is what saved me. I was not happy with that. I was happy to get on camera because I wanted to do that. And
it was very good. I was very happy. I'll tell you this. Usually, I've noticed when new guys start filming, it probably takes them the 3rd or 4th deer to get it on camera. So I was like, woo, Brock's starting off hot.
Yeah, and then he drops the ball, which I'm still pissed about.
Yep, we'll get to that.
I'm trying to think. Her Biggles. Because he was, I don't know why I named him Biggles, just because he was just freakishly fat and it was hilarious. And I killed another one. His name, I nicknamed him Tripod. Those are the only 3 I've ever killed in October. So my October success is not very good. It's, I mean, I do the cover scent stuff. Like I shower with the no scenty shit, and I mean. I got notes written down for you. Like I use the new Sitka camo pattern. The cover is like that dark green. I was like, hey, dude, that's awesome because I had the regular elevated whatever. That doesn't match anything when there's green everywhere. That sucks. So
that's funny.
When I went out, it was 75 degrees. not deer hunting weather, like not good deer hunting weather. So, I mean, I can't really say like, oh, I've got 6. I get really lucky a lot, it seems. So
I'd rather be lucky than good. 100%.
Yes, and I get lucky quite often, it seems. I need to go buy a lottery ticket because one of these days I'm either going to get struck by lightning or hit by a train or something.
So before you get to your next deer, that setup there, obviously you're in a corner of a field, and I think it was corn this year. Am I remembering right? So is there are you catching them going to that corn, or is there something else there?
Where that corner is, like that logging trail goes back this way, that way, and the honey hole. Well, this is way easier.
We're artists, people. But why Brock's drawing this, real quick, guys, if you're listening to this podcast, awesome, sweet. You guys might want to watch this one because as Brock and the rest of the team members speak about their deers, if it's on video or even part of it's on video, I'm going to be showing those clips over this podcast. So if you're listening to this, awesome. We appreciate you. But this is one you might want to watch too because we'll have some video clips over top.
So the easiest way to do this is, where's my finger? Oh my gosh. So this is all the corn and whatnot, and everything else is just woods. The honey hole is this X way back in there.
Gotcha.
So where they logged in, there's always been a natural trail right there. And right underneath of my tree stand, I've got a Reconyx camera that I got for my birthday. I did not buy that because I saw the price tag about fell over. But they're always right there. We've been on this property, I think 4 years now. And I've sat out here, I don't know how many times, and logged a lot of hours out here. I just know they come to that corner, and there's an oak tree about 17 yards right in front of me along the tree line, and there's a scrape underneath of it. So I know they usually come out of that property, hit that scrape, and will either dive back into the woods and go towards the honey hole, or they'll just shift right into the corn.
Gotcha. All righty. Well, now we get to talk about the more important one. We love our freezer queens. Don't get me wrong. But we all like big bucks. So tell us the story of Biggles.
So again, I've been out here for 4 years. I have 3 deer out there that I have history with. I have them on camera. One I've had on camera for every year I've been there. I've seen him in person every single year, and he's a moose. I've never seen Biggles before until that morning. I got my Reconyx. I wake up, check my Reconyx camera. Like, what the fuck is that? Because I thought it was this other big deer I named Black Locust because he's got shit coming off of his bases, and he's super tall, not very wide, super thick. And I'm looking at this deer, and I am god awful with judging how old they are, but I know he's old and I know he's fat. So I was like, Biggles. I don't know why Biggles popped in my head. I listened to a Jocko Willett podcast, and they were talking about Biggles. Like, he's going to be Biggles. So I had a game plan. I have what is it? The Deer Cast by Drury Outdoors.
Yep.
I have it. I look at it. Sometimes I go when it's great and I see no deer. Sometimes I go out when it says bad and I see all the deer. I don't know. So I don't remember what that day was supposed to be, but again, it's hot. So when I walk out to this stand, it's almost, I think it's 1.25 miles one way with the corn up. With the corn up, it's a fucking hike. So hike my happy butt out there, got the super lightweight shirt up top because I'm a sweater. When I get within probably 600 yards, I put my regular get up on, and normally I walk just along the corn rows and whatnot, but for whatever reason, I was like, it's kind of breezy out. I'm just going to hop in the corn itself. Let me back up. So I got that picture of Biggles, and I had a whole bunch of stuff to do that day. I went to my uncle's house. I had to drop something off for him, and this is the uncle that got me into bow hunting. This is the uncle that I hunt this property with. And we were talking about some stuff, and I was like, hey, I need to show you something, and I wanted to show you it in person because I want to see your reaction like right now. So I show him, and I'm like, he's like, what is that? And I'm like, dude, I don't know. This thing's a cow with antlers. It's stupid. And you've had it. I know you have, and other hunters have. You can't explain it sometimes. You just know that you're going to shoot a deer. And I told him, like, dude, it's going to happen. Like, it might not be him, but I know I'm going to shoot a deer. Like, I have got the feeling, and I swear I was going to jinx. I did everything I could to jinx myself. Like, I went and got the super hefty deer hoist thing. I put it up in the tree and had it hanging out. I never do that. Like, all the bad juju I had was out and about. And so I get in the stand. I'm like, okay, it's going to go down. So as I'm walking out to it, I hop in the corn. And as I'm walking out, I'm like, there's no wind. I'm making all of the noise, all of it. So I said, screw this, hopped out, and I walked in the woods. And like, I'm like trying to brush away sticks with my feet for like a long way. It took me a long time to get in the stand. I get up in there. It's kind of breezy. It's a north wind, so it's perfect for this. And I don't even think I have my bow. I have got my bow up in the tree, and I'm getting ready to put the ratchet strap around the tree to get the tree arm in. And I'm hugging the tree, trying to get the damn thing around it. And I catch it, and I look, and there's a doe like 20 yards behind me. Has no idea. I'm just sitting there like, you got to be shitting me.
Yep.
So I was like, I can't move now. So I sit here for like 20 minutes holding the tree, waiting for her to move. And I'm like, I've done all the bad juju. It's confident. She's going to blow. We're done. She doesn't. She ends up feeding away back to the south towards the honey hole, which is more towards the river, which is where they bed. And we stay away from that bad boy. So I can see her, and I'm tightening the ratchet strap silently, which you can do, by the way. I found that out. Which I was very impressed with. Got that in there, get settled in. I'm like, holy shit, I can't believe that happened. And I'm sitting there, and again, I just got that feeling. And I had the buck that morning, and when I saw him on the pictures, he was walking to the north. It looked like, he came out of the woods by the honey hole and went to the north. I was like, okay, more than likely he's going to do the opposite, do the same thing. Even on the video, I was like hoping he should show up right here. Yeah. So I've got everything on film. Like, there's deer coming out of my ears. They're everywhere. Coyotes are going nuts, which is cool until they scare away deer. Then it's not cool. And I mean, I've got deer that are coming within like 10 yards at the base of my tree stand. Like, okay, we're in them tonight. And I got this little buck that comes out, hits that scrape. And I'm like, perfect. This is what I needed. Just do the script. I need the big boy to do the script. And he feeds into the corn. It's been windy and it goes away. It's not completely dead, but like you can hear stuff pretty good. And this little dude, I don't know what he's doing. He just gets all spooky, and it's like he's like a dog, and he's just having a grand old time in the corn. And it's getting dark, and I think I've got like 5 minutes till last legal. And I mean, it's getting dark. I got my phone up on the tree arm, and I could just hear something in the corn. But that little dude got all spooky for whatever reason and bailed off. So he goes to the west, like adios. And I hear it. I'm like, I know that's not him. And I look over, and I mean, it's just this tree trunks just come out of the corn. I'm like, oh my God. I didn't know it was 100% Biggles when he walked out. I didn't care because it was a big damn deer. Yep. So I've got the new phone where it's got the thing where you hit it on the side and it automatically opens up. So I get right to video, and you have to double tap it. I didn't know that. I thought I did. So he comes out of the corn, and then like there's this little water hole right in front of me. It's like 20 yards from me. And he comes out, and he's just standing there, and it's like this like tall weed shit, and he's just standing there looking, and I'm trying not to like vibrate the tree at this point, and he starts walking straight towards me at this point, and then he just like very heavily quartered to me, and I'm like, you're not going to smell me because the wind's perfect. I don't know where you're going. because he's the one little dude got all spooky for God only knows what reason. And I was nervous that he wasn't going to come anymore. So normally I want a broadside shot. Again, I shoot probably 650 grains total. So I shoot pretty hefty boys. And I just sharpened all my shit. I mean, I look like a crackhead. I don't have hair on my arms. So I put it on like just in front of his shoulder and buried the fletchings and like watched the lighted knock and everything go straight. And if it would have been on, it would have been on film because I had it positioned. Oh my God, this is awesome. Smoke him and it hammers him. Like he mule kicks the whole 9 yards. He runs towards me down this logging road and then just disappears. And then that's when I look like I'm panning with my phone that's not recording. And I'm like, oh my God, hit the record button. And like what we're talking, I've got an external mic thingy that's and you can hear him and I hear him crash. I'm like, oh my God. So I have a high speed come apart in the tree and I wait my 30 minutes, which I didn't do last year. And I learned that lesson. So I get down and I go to where I shot him. I can't find shit. No blood, nothing. When I hit it, very. So I knew I stuck it. I did not get a pass through. I knew that because I watched. It was really weird. I watched the Lumen knock smoke him. He takes off running about 5 steps, and then my knock turns off. And I'm like, what the fuck?
I've had that happen before.
Come to find out, he snapped just the tip of the knockoff.
Oh, I have not had that happen before.
On nothing. He didn't hit anything. There was no tree. He broke it off running. I don't know. So I climbed down, get my flashlights and stuff, which I didn't bring the right flashlights. I didn't bring good ones. So I've got like the little dudes that clip on here in my headlamp, dude. Not bright enough. So I'm looking for blood and I'm not finding anything. And I'm trying to go back to my phone to watch a shot. And I'm like, I'm getting kicked off the team. I didn't get it on footage. Shit. So I'm freaking out and I cannot find I can't find any blood.
Yeah.
Fuck me. So I before this season ever happened, with the woods right in front of me to the north is a different property. I called to try to get permission to hunt it. No dice. I did get permission to retrieve any and all deer from there. Even better. So I knew we were all good for that. So I'm like, I heard him crash. I know the shot was good. I trust my setup. I shoot a heavy bow, the whole 9 yards. I trust it. I know he's dead, but I can't find any blood. It's freaking me out. So I just started walking in the woods like an idiot, which I should not have done. But I called my wife and I'm like, I texted her saying I shot Biggles. She said, I think she either said pick or it didn't happen or videoed it didn't happen. I'm like, you don't got to rub it in. I know. So like,
that's funny.
Don't bring the dog, but you need to come here and you need to bring flashlights because I can't find him. I'm having my oh shit moment. So I start going through the woods and I'm not finding anything. And I'm not on his trail at all because, again, I don't remember which way he ran because my brain quit working completely. But I keep going, and I just see this big old belly, and I'm like, oh, my God. So I call her back. It's like, okay, bring flashlights, bring a camera because she's got her nice fancy Canon thing. And I'm like, bring the camera. Biggles is done. So that's when I start doing my walk up the recovery. And when I got up to him, I've shot some pretty. I've been stupidly blessed, and when I walked up and saw that, I was like, I sat there with him. I was like, I don't deserve this. Like there's no reason that he should have walked out right there. I mean, he could have walked anywhere. He could have popped out in that cornfield 50 yards from there, and I would have looked at it, waved. Probably got that on video. But that's it. But I looked, and the reason I didn't get a lot of blood is I exited through his guts, and his guts were blocking.
Yep. I've had that happen. Yep.
Oh God, I sent a picture of him to my taxidermist that night. I was like, hey, I got one for you in the morning, and he's done a lot of big deer, and he's like, yeah, you got a good one. And that's
Yep.
like, oh, that means something when it comes from
Yep.
you.
Yep.
And I took him to the same butcher that I dropped the doe off, and I called ahead, like, hey, you guys open for deer? I'm like, yep, got one. Perfect. Show up, I'm like, hey, didn't you just bring a doe down here? I was like, yeah, I did. I'm like, hey, well, you must be having a good season. Like, she was okay. He's like, yeah, this one's a little bit bigger. I'm like, oh, okay, we'll stay. And I opened the gate, and he goes, holy shit. I was like, yeah, dude, that's what I'm saying. And he said that, I mean, he's been doing this for a while. And he's like, that's within the top 5 biggest that I've ever worked on. Field dress, he was 264 pounds. So on the hook, he was well over 300. Oh,
yeah.
And I felt that dragging his fat ass out of the woods by myself. And I had to call one of my good buddies to come after we gutted him to load him in the back of his truck, because my wife shows up and she's a really big help sitting inside the Jeep shooting flashlights out from inside the Jeep. And I'm like, and she's little, she's like 125. Like, you're not going to be able to help me with this. So I scored him. God only knows how accurate this was. I'm not good at this, but I scored him at 168. Again, I have no.
So I showed my uncle. My uncle, for people who don't know, my uncle used to run a taxidermy shop here in Fulton County, Illinois. It was Central Illinois Wildlife Studios. At one point in time, he was certified scorer.
Yep.
I showed him your buck, and I said he scored it at 168. He goes, that's probably about right on the money. Just eyeballing it.
Decent.
He said, he goes, nope. He goes, I was going to guess high 160s, right around that 170 range is what he was going to guess.
Because the base and then the measurement between G1, G2, and G2 and G3, I could not get my hands around. And when I measured 2 of them, the circumference was 9 inches, just mass. So he is massive, and I didn't realize how massive he was until I was gutting him, and I accidentally punctured the guts like a rookie. He was eating entire acorns whole.
Okay.
Whole. That's why he's big. Yeah,
Yep.
he was a vacuum cleaner in the woods. I did.
So, how old do you think he was? If you had to guess.
I think 5.5 minimum. The taxidermist said, he's like, that's very conservative minimum. He's thinking north of that, which my big, like, I like big deer. We all like big deer. I like old deer, mature, and shot placement is biggest for me. And I could not have first quartering 2. It is what it is, but that tickled me pink when I saw where that, I mean, he made it, I think he made it 35 yards. He did not go far. He died extremely quickly. And to me, that is huge. And like, I'm not knocking the doe. I'm still mad about the shot placement on the doe, but with that caliber of a deer, I owe it to him to make the best shot I can, because if I make a crappy shot, I want it to be, you're a 200-inch deer, you're going to get a 200-inch level shot placement, buddy. Like, I'm going to give you everything I can for this.
Yep. Well, on that note, Brock, I don't have anything else when it comes to your October success. It's been great. You're going to have a hard time beating this October. I'm trying to
beat it with the recurve now, and I want to tell you. So I shot Biggles 168-ish. I was shaking like a leaf the other night on about a 6-inch buck. I'm using a recurve now, and I mean, if you have a bone sticking out of your head, it's fair game. And I just love being out in the woods. And if we said the same thing on the last podcast I had, like, oh, you're gonna have a hard time beating that one. Like, if I don't, that's fine. I just be happy seeing and shooting deer.
Yep. Nope, I agree. Well, guys, hope you enjoyed this segment with Brock. Like I said, we're going to have a couple other team members on shortly right after this. And yeah, Brock, thanks for coming on again, man.
Peace.
Awesome. Bye.
All right, everyone, this is podcast 96. You guys should have saw already the podcast with Brock, the first half of this or first quarter of this, whatever. So we are going to talk about our success, our October success. That's what this whole podcast is about. We have been very fortunate as a team, and us 3 here in particular have been very fortunate this year. So again, all about October success. I should clarify before we get into the details here. This is by far, I would say, as a team, our best October we've had.
For sure.
Yeah. Now, mind you, it only took us 4 years as a team to have a good October like this. So, in the past, we've been pretty good about knocking some does down and stuff. Not as many does as we have already, as Kyle will get to, especially. But we never had this success when it comes to this many big bucks already hitting the ground this October. So, how we're going to do the order-wise, we're going to try to stay in chronological order with when we got the deer killed. So that, and if you see us screaming or fighting anything, it's because these damn ladybugs are everywhere. But we're going to go with Kyle's deer first. Then we'll go with Cody's 2 doe opportunities. We'll go back to Kyle for his second deer. Then we'll go with me and end it with Cody. So, also, I already said this in the first part with Brock. As you guys can probably see, we got the playlist playing in the background of this. But I will also, if you're listening to this podcast, I'd recommend you go watch the YouTube version because I'm going to be having some of our shots and stuff playing in the background as Kyle's talking about his shot. It'll be playing in the background. So again, if you're listening to this, we appreciate it, but you might want to watch this one too. So go ahead, Kyle.
All right. First, I was going to compliment you on your word success. You said it very well the first time, but then the second time you messed it up, man.
We know.
And I was like, he nailed it the first time, and then the second time he messed it up. But anyway,
ladybug.
Yeah,
distracting.
That's what it was. Wasn't from the years of history of
nope, not
his
at all.
family and
not at
speech
all.
impediments. Not at all. But anyway, so opening day this year, I was lucky enough to go out. I guess sometimes I've missed it because of work and whatnot, and I wasn't able to go out in the morning, but I was able to go out in the afternoon because I think I was on third shift then, so I was able to wake up and get out in the afternoon. I know I wanted to hunt either my mom and dad's or my aunt and uncle's place because I got cell cams on both of them, and I was getting a lot of pictures of does and just frequently in the light. So I was pretty confident that if I sat in one of those spots, I'd at least see some deer. So I decided to go to my mom and dad's because it was a little closer. So this year, I've hunted there.
Actually on your ear. I don't know if the rest of you guys. So it's October 24th as we record this. These little Asian beetles are everywhere. Yeah. Especially out here, they just picked my cornfield, and yeah, it's not good. But
anyway. So I hunted my mom and dad's 2 years ago, and they generally have corn around it, or there's a field around the small timber. There's not that much timber. There only has like 10 acres of timber on it or whatever, and then surrounding field. Mm-hmm. And 2 years ago, I hunted it when there was corn, and it seemed to me that more corn than beans, the deer kind of hold up in them more because of the cover. Yep. But my dad did some work to it this year and got rid of some trees, and he bulldozed down in the bottom and made like a real nice trail basically, and he's been mowing it and stuff, so it looked really good for deer habitat. Mm-hmm. So I was pretty excited this year. So like I said, I was getting a lot of pictures, so I go out to my mom and dad's on opening day. I get up there, I got my trail camera, and I got a scent rope probably 40 yards away from me towards where the corn is, and then the trail comes off for the corn and goes into the woods. So I'm sitting there. It was like, maybe 15 minutes after I had just got up in the stand, just to the south side of me, right where the wind was blowing. We had a north wind. I hear does blow. Like 15 minutes after I was in the stand. Mm-hmm. 2 does blew, took off running, and I'm like, well, shit, they were my opportunity. Mm-hmm. I'm like, all right, it's opening day. It's like, whatever, I'll just go ahead and sit. I didn't want to get discouraged because you never know what's going to happen. I don't know, maybe an hour or so later, coming out of the timber on the mowed path was a very small yearling doe. Mm-hmm. She walked right by me, 10 yards away from me, hung around for a while, never saw me or anything like that. Mm-hmm. So it was pretty cool. So I'm like, all right, maybe they'll still be moving. Could have been the same deer. It's been a while now. And then got close to, like, I think the last half hour of light, a bigger doe came out of the corn and then was walking right down the path, walked right in front of my trail camera. Mm-hmm. She's walking right to me, so I had plenty of time to see her, which I really like, because, you all know, using a camera, it's very difficult, so the faster you can see the deer, the quicker you can get those cameras turned on and get you ready for your shot.
Yeah.
So,
when you see the deer and all of a sudden it's in range, as soon as you see it, it's like panic mode.
Oh, yeah. You have to move so much just to turn cameras on, and let alone try to pull your bow back.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Nope, it's
So it comes
issue.
Yeah. So I see you get the camera set up. So she's walking right down the mode path right where I think she's gonna walk. I'm sitting in a tree that's got basically 3 trees that split from one base. So I have a nice big tree right in front of me that I know she's gonna walk in front of. So I draw, wait for her to pass that tree, and then she stops about 20 yards, quartering to me. But you can tell she knows something's up. She kind of sees me. So I'm like, all right, I'm just going to go. I'm not going to wait for a broadside shot. She sees me. She's kind of on alert. I'm just going to go ahead and shoot. So she's quartering to me. I go ahead and take the shot. I hear it. Pops. I'm like, oh, I nailed her. Mm-hmm. She turns around, runs. Mm-hmm. Runs into the corn. I hear her crash in the corn. I'm like, all right, she's dead. That's cool. I go down to track the blood after a half hour. I don't see any blood. Don't see my arrow in the woods, in the leaves, or anything like that. Mm-hmm. But I knew she went in the corn, so I just went right to the corn, saw tons of blood, found her lying dead in the corn. So I couldn't have been more thrilled. Opening day deer, first time ever I got opening day deer. I was super pumped. Great start to the season.
Yep. So before we jump to Cody here, so the main thing you were hunting there on October 1st weekend was some more cover than anything, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. So I was hunting off a cornfield in cover, with just some like a mowed path in the timber. Okay, and then she was just traveling out of the corn into the green. So I'm guessing she was probably eating the green maybe or something, but she was doing that. So
yeah, it worked out great. And I mean, opening day, he's going to jump on later, so he'll be able to discuss it. But we had 2 opening day kills, I think, because they had you, and then I feel like I'm missing. No, we had Brock. Yeah, we had 3 actually. 2 on video. 2 on video. So Brock, you guys already heard him talk about his opening day deer, and he was hunting. His setup was a little different, but then my brother Colton in Iowa on public land got an opening day deer, which he'll jump on and talk about it too. So,
and another thing I think that played into it this year is our temperature's been cooperating pretty well for October.
We've had a pretty good October,
and even on October 1st, it hasn't
we
been
have
too
an 80
hot.
day coming up though.
Yeah.
Tuesday.
Yeah, I'm like. It's my 3rd day of my rut vacation, 80 degrees. I'm like, well, I ain't hunting that day, boys.
So I think that's helped a lot, especially early.
All right, Cody, you have 2 doe stories to tell us, which, mind you, there's always like a blooper reel every year. You know, we all do stupid stuff. So far, yours is my favorite after the shot when you're talking about what is happening. So far, it's in the lead. So
I tried. Oh, this year's definitely been exciting. And Kyle, I'd like to, comment on your archery skills so far. I know you haven't been doing it very long, and the improvements you've made from when we started shooting, and just the strides that you've made just in a short time have been awesome. Keep slinging the arrows, man. You're doing good.
Appreciate that.
But
the Codys have taught him well. That's what I think.
That's what it is.
At least somebody did. So opening day I couldn't hunt because of that thing called work. So I was kind of bummed out. It's the second opening day I've missed in 6 years. And damn work. But so I went on October 2nd and the temperatures were perfect. It was lower 70s that day, cooling off into the 50s at night. And I go out on my favorite spot in public land. It's like a CRP grass field. I get set up in this knotty pine tree. There's no way I could have hunted a saddle or a climber or anything, so I had to use a saddle. I got 25 plus in there to make sure I see the whole field, and I was covered in deer. Does, bucks, I mean, it was crazy. And right before dark, I had a good-sized doe come out, and she's like 52 yards. So I ranged her and made sure the camera was on her. I'm like, all right, this is going to be my first self-film kill. I'm like, this is going to be awesome. Well, I didn't account for my saddle, my bridge on my saddle being interfering with my limbs of my crossbow, and it did. But that's not the part that saddens me. That happens. I mean, it's hunting, everything happens. Things happen. But I had happened to drop my quiver on the ground prior to this, and there was deer in the field, so I was not able to retrieve it. So I sit and watch, and I make my little blooper reel, and I'm like, all right, man, at least somebody will get a laugh out of this. But in about 20 minutes before dark, one of the biggest deer on public land steps out. He's a very nice 8-point buck, steps out, and he's 10 yards from me. And I'm just sitting there, I'm like, oh man, this is dumb. This is ignorant.
Yep, I know. You could. I mean, we'll discuss here more, but you could be tagged out right now.
I could.
Did you contemplate like any other way to like try to kill it, like in your head? I know it wouldn't have happened, but we were thinking like, if I could just like sharpen one of these sticks right here and throw it in my crossbow, maybe I could fling it at it.
So I contemplated Ramboing it. I mean, I got my my outdoor edge knife, a 3-inch blade. I thought about jumping 25 foot down on it.
I would have definitely. I mean, I thought about that.
I thought about using my crossbow as a hammer and throwing it at it as well, but
blood force drop.
Yeah.
I mean,
which you didn't talk about. So this is Cody's second year on the team. If you guys watched him last year, he was using compound bow. You kind of explain a little bit before you move on. Why are you shooting a crossbow this year and all that good stuff?
A lot of the reason why is I got an injury to my shoulder, so I'm not able to really draw back anymore like I used to. And I thought about dropping down in poundage, and I'm like, I don't have time to practice because of work, and like it's just easier to get a crossbow. I can shoot 10 or 15 shots a week, make sure I'm zeroed, and then I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, feel your pain, man. I was there 2 years ago when I had to borrow Cody's when I hurt my left arm.
Yep. So, as much as I crossbow hate, like I 100% do, and I know some guys on the team are big avid crossbowers, but like this is actually a reason I'm for it. I'm on both of your guys' situation. I was like, injuries, you should use a crossbow in this situation. That's why I bought the crossbow that Kyle had ended up using. It was for the exact situation because I hurt my shoulder one year doing jiu-jitsu. Actually, he heard it.
Don't be pointing fingers now.
And I didn't know if I was going to be able to pull my bow back, which I was able to that year, but like it hurt every time. But I'm like, I'm gonna keep going. But yeah, no, I think these are one of the few situations where I'm like, yeah, you should use crossbow.
It just keeps me in the woods, and that's all that matters to me. So
yeah, and there's plenty of elder people out there that you know. Yeah, they need them. So I mean, I like them for that. If you're
my dad can't get
not
back
physically
anymore,
able to do it, it's a good point. But if you are physically able, you should use a compound. In my opinion.
Hear that, Ryan and Nate?
If you're physically able,
we're giving you crap. So
they might not be mentally able, but they're physically able.
We're gonna have a crossbow versus compound bow debate sometime in the future. I know we wanted to do it in the off season, and we just were never able to find the time. So that debate is coming. Ryan is very
on game. Let's do it.
Ryan is very prepared for it. So. Anyway, so I guess before we move on to your second doe here, I know, did you hunt a saddle at all last year?
This is the first year doing it. That was my first time I ever put it in a tree.
So I'm a avid saddle fan, love them. So I guess so far, I understand your first outing didn't turn out great because of the bridge system, but I mean, what do you think so far?
I absolutely love it. I feel like I've been in the dark for a very, very that little guy right here, and it's gone.
You know, it makes sense when you told me what happened because when I was watching the video, I'm like, how did that even happen? Like you missed so low like that to the left, but then as soon as you said, "Oh, I hit my bridge," I'm like, that makes sense.
Oh yeah, you see it right.
You see it wobbling pretty good.
Because you know, like if you pulled the shot, whatever, like you kind of know what it looks like. Or if you shoot high, shoot low. I'm like, way low left like that. What happened? Then when you said that, I'm like, that makes sense.
Yep. Unfortunately.
Yeah, and I have a couple crossbow guys that I work with, and they saddle hunt, and I asked them that exact same thing, like, do you have to be careful of the bridge before? And they said, yeah, like it takes some practice. So
I'm learning that slowly, but.
But anyway, so you loving the saddle?
I absolutely love it. So
what kind did you get?
I got a tethered lockdown.
Oh, okay.
I absolutely.
Haven't used that one yet.
It's amazing. I'll let you borrow it. It's like a recliner up there. I'll tell your wife you can borrow it. Just don't worry about the charges on the debit card. That's irrelevant.
Yeah. I have 3 saddles already. I don't know.
I think you need a 4th. Your third one, your second one's lonely. It needs
I'll
a partner.
take your hand-me-down ones. Mine's not great.
Well, Colton's got one right now.
There you go. You got plenty.
You're in luck. I've got an extra one.
So I have one that works, but I don't have to use it that often.
But good. I'm happy you're liking it.
Oh, I love it. Good deal. So I do things a little non-traditional in the saddle. So I do the one-stick method. I don't use the sticks. I've got like a platform, and it's got a 3-step aider on it. And when I inchworm up the tree, and then when I get done, I pack all my stuff up, and then rappel down the tree, and it's life changing. It's definitely changed the way I think, way I hunt.
Yep. Nope. Jared, who we work with, he does the 1-stick method. I haven't went down that rabbit hole yet, so might in the future.
Time.
Welcome to the dark side.
Yep. So anyway, your second deer.
The second deer, so I was kind of licking my wounds a little bit, and I was trying to stay off my leash as much as possible till the rut. And I got a little upset at myself, so I'm like, you know what? I know there's does out there. I'm going to go out. I need that confidence kill. I'm going to go out there. I'm going to get the job done. And I step out there. The combine on the neighbor's property is going like crazy. I get out there a little bit late. I actually forgot my hunting boots at the house, and I walked to my deer stand in
I remember that
Crocs.
picture.
Yeah,
So that was the first time I've ever hunted in Crocs, and I think I will hunt when it's warm out every time like that. That was awesome. But I get out there, and the combine's running, and I see these two little button bucks
you could
pop
hear it
out.
when you do your first interview.
Yep.
Because I that's what I'm happy you said that, because when I was first editing it, I forgot you said that. So I was like, I wonder what this background noise is, because it's not there later on in the video. That makes sense. Come on, never mind.
Yep.
Sorry about that.
It's all good. So I see these two little button bucks come over. I'm sitting playing a game on my phone like most of us do and shouldn't. But I look up, I'm like, oh, hey, there's deer. I'm like, oh, that's awesome. And they come out and they play in the food, or what was my food plot. They're playing around a little bit and going and frolicking. And I look back and I'm like, oh, there's Mama. She walked down this field edge, and she looked like she was going to cross the creek, and I have 0 shots over there. So I was kind of like, oh, man, come on, just walk down that field edge. That's all I need you to do. So she does what her fawns do, and she follows them right down. I don't know how far she was. She was close. I mean, she's probably 15, 18 yards max. And and by the way, this is the first deer I ever killed while self-filming, and it was definitely a challenge. This is not easy at all.
It is not.
I see the guys on YouTube doing it. I'm like, oh, hell, I can do that.
It turned out good, though. You did a good job.
Yeah, you did.
For that one, absolutely. My buck, not so much. But so I get everything, and I'm kind of shaky with it. So I'm kind of moving it all over back and forth. I'm like, okay, oh, there, I can't find her. I had to zoom out and zoom in. Oh, there she is. So I pull up on her and give her business, and she runs like 45, 50 yards max. And on the video, if you slow it down, you can see the blood just spilling out of her. And then I got on her, and she was already laid down. She expired within 5 seconds. It was awesome.
Yeah, it was very quick death, which is what we always want. So yeah, no, it turned out great. I thought the video turned out great, and it was good to redeem yourself. That one, though, you're in like a tree stand, that one, were you?
I was in my ladder stand.
Yeah, don't blame you there. I mean, I saddle hunt here on my farm some, but like most of my setups here are pre-hung. Like,
Yeah,
why
it's
mess with
just
it?
faster too. You know,
Yep.
when it's easier to hunt after work and stuff like that when you got those preset stands.
Exactly. Well, Kyle, your second deer then.
Okay, so it was like, I don't know, maybe a week later, I think, after the deer processed and everything like that. So I know before I went hunting, I went out with you, Ryan, and Nate. Deer.
Hardly saw shit.
Oh, we saw a lot of
yep.
deer, actually. We just didn't get any in range.
Yep.
So
Like-
Cody didn't see any.
No, he didn't. But where we
had
sat,
a little spike that was
we saw-
almost would be considered doe. We shot it.
I think we saw 4 does. So it was pretty good. Theirs never came in range, but it was good. So I was just there filming him. And then I went hunting, I think, the next day.
Hang on, I do have to interrupt a little bit. That was your first time hunting with the red coat, right?
It was. Yes,
Yeah.
it was.
Yeah. What do you think?
He's a chatty Cathy. I tell you that. He is. And not in a bad way at all, but not ideal for a hunting situation. We'll put it that way, which is fine.
Yeah.
We were quiet. We were in a blind,
Yeah.
and it was still kind of early. But you know, once the deer come out, he shut right up.
It's
So.
a lot of laughing.
Yeah, a lot of laughing.
Uh-huh.
He gets excited like no one I've ever seen. Like
Yep.
like a 5-year-old child that just got like an ice cream cone.
Yep.
That's how I would describe
Yep.
it. That's how he gets when he sees animals hunting, which is awesome.
Yes, that's
like this is just
that's why I enjoy hunting
it's
with him
cool.
so much, because how
And
excited he gets.
He gets excited and it's cool and like that. And he was super excited when we saw the deer and it was cool and we just couldn't get him in range. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. But so and I really thought we were gonna get him in range, but we just didn't. But it was good, and he was going through a slump because Cody and Nate and him were doing pretty bad.
Very bad. Very bad. We hunted, so they hunted one whole day without me. We hunted the one morning, and out of all three of us, Nate had seen 2. Yeah. And then that's why we're like, we got to bring Kyle.
Yeah,
for the
so
good
I
luck.
was Nate's good luck charm, or I was Ryan's good luck charm, and it turned out to work because we saw 4 does, which was pretty cool, and he was real happy about that after going through that. So I hunted the next day, went, I think I had it all off. So I went down to my aunt and uncle's place, and same thing. I was getting a lot of pictures of does down there, so just daily in the daylight. So I was sitting in a ground blind there because a lot of the trees that they had planted not that long ago, so they're just not that tall. So there's a few trees you probably could get up into, but you'd have to trim a lot to make shooting lanes, and I don't want to do that to their trees, being as young as they are. So I decided to do ground blind down there. So I went and bought a new ground blind that has like the 2 panels that you can see through, which is pretty cool. First time I've ever seen that. It's really neat. It really helps. I thought it would be really good for like video stuff like that. Let you move around a little bit before the shot, a little more, which is really cool. But anyway, I'm sitting down there, evening hunt, just like I was getting on camera. So I'm sitting in timber, and then there's a mowed lane in between the timber, and then there's cornfield. So a lot of times they just travel that mowed lane. So sure enough, they come out of the bigger timber, right down that mowed lane. They're walking right to me. It's a bigger doe, and then probably a 1.5 old doe. So they're coming right at me. I'm thinking, all right, here they come. They're gonna walk right to me. Well, they get maybe 70, 80 yards. And they cut into the timber. Well, the bigger doe does. The little one stays right there. Well, she cuts in, and she's going to the south of me and cutting around me right to where my wind's blowing. So I'm like, well, this ain't good. So I can see her through the see-through panel on my left, and she's cutting through the timber. And she stops just past the panel to where the one panel that I have is black, and it just has that little rectangle window, and that's all it has. Okay, well, I can't see her anymore, and I think maybe she's gone. I'm still watching the other doe. She's still out in front of me. Well, the one behind me starts blowing like crazy. I'm like, shit. All right. I'm like, well, I'm screwed. Yeah. So I hear her blow once, so I'm like, all right, I'll just, she's already blowing, so I'll open the window. I will take down one corner of the window, open it, and I see her standing there. She blows again. I'm like, oh, shit. Okay. So I pull down the other corner of the window. She still hasn't moved, just standing there. She's 20 yards, quartering to me. I was like, hey, maybe I'll get a shot. She hasn't moved. She blows a third time. Still doesn't move. Just standing her ground. She's like, I'm going to win this fight, whatever you are, hunting blind. So I stick my bow through. I thought I hit the record on my DJI, but I didn't hold long enough, so it didn't record, unfortunately. I hit it. So I'm like, I'll at least get the camera facing me. I pull the bow up, stick it through the little square window, which is up, like on top of the X, so it's a little higher. So I make sure to like stick my hand in it because I don't want to be one of the people that sends an arrow through the blind, especially with this small window. So I make sure I get that arrow, the head of the arrow, out of the blind, get it on her, pull it. Nailed her. She dropped like a rock. I was like, oh, I smoked her. She dropped, fell on her side, legs kicked. She stood back up and then trotted off south of me through the timber. I was like, all right, she's probably dead. She probably went to die. So went and looked for blood, found blood, ended up getting dark on me. I ended up running out of blood. Go get my aunt side by side and get it down there so I could see more blood, but there's a giant CRP field to the south of the timber. She ran into the CRP field, and I don't have very good blood.
This CRP, guys,
just
if you'll see in the video, which by the time you listen to this, the vlog should be out, but it's over your head high.
It's thick and it's tall. Yes, it is. So I was able to follow the blood, I'd say 30 yards into the CRP, and then I just end up losing it. And so I take the side-by-side and drive through the CRP a little bit just to see if I'd come upon her. Never did. So I talked to Cody. My main concern about leaving her out there is there's tons of coyotes down there. So that was my main concern. The temperature was going to be good. It was going to be cold enough, but I was worried about her getting eaten. But I'd been out. I stayed out there till like 10 o'clock that night looking, so I didn't find her. So all right, I'll just come back. I'm off tomorrow. I'll just come back early in the morning. Came back early in the morning, found my last blood spot, and then just ended up finding a little bit more blood. Went probably another 20 yards south, and then it went off to the right, and there she was laying dead. You didn't take very long. No, I just found more blood. I just couldn't find the blood, so once I found the more blood, I mean, it led right to her, and I still couldn't smell her in the morning. So I mean, it's been cold enough, so she was fine and all that. But I was so happy. I ended up hitting her a little high.
Yep.
I think because of the way the window was, and Cody said something like that too, and he says a lot. He's seen before when you hit them high, like close to the spine, they drop.
Yep.
Because it messes with their legs and shit, getting that close to the spine. I think that's exactly what happened. But once again, it was like this deja vu of the other doe. She was just quartering to me the exact same way.
Yeah.
I was just a little high.
Both your shots have been kind of like unique shots, you know?
Yeah.
It's not like you haven't got the standard
I haven't had a
traditional broadside shot yet.
No, I haven't. I've only had one deer stand in front of me broadside recently, and I wasn't able to shoot it.
Yeah.
So.
Yep, we'll probably throw that on here too.
But yeah, so I was super excited. I'm happy. I went 2 for 2 on my hunts, which is super happy about. Which kind of happened last year, which was ironic. The 2 hunts I had in October, I killed back to back.
You haven't been skunked yet, like just seeing deer, right? Have you?
I have not been skunked this year.
Yeah, knock on wood there. Yeah.
I have not. And I didn't realize it, but yeah, I think my aunt and uncle's is a honey hole for deer. There's just a ton of them down there, and they're just more than I ever thought.
And you didn't get a gun tag, right?
Not for down there, no.
Maybe next year, right?
Yeah, maybe next year. Probably, because where I got the stand now would be a perfect spot.
Yep. Yeah, no, that's I'm always excited to see your footage from there because it's definitely turned out to be a good spot.
Yeah, and I think I was talking to Cooper. He was talking about me going duck hunting, and I told him about that. He's like, "Oh yeah, dude, we could go down there, no problem." I'm like, yeah, we should. Yeah, so we might do that. Yeah,
old team member Coop, he's a big duck hunter, so yeah, he'd be all about that, I'm sure. So I think I'm up next. So before my eventful night, honestly, my deer hunting, other than for small bucks, has been struggled. I've been just trying to buy a doe, and I have 2 hunts out of my 8 hunts or something I've been on. I've seen does. Almost every other hunt, I've been skunked twice. Yeah, almost every other hunt though, I've had small bucks within, like, when I say bow range, like 10 yards, like very tight and personal, and just have not been out. Well, just don't shoot them. I don't shoot a small buck. So anyway, actually on the video now, no. It would be the 15th, if I remember right. The 15th was a really good day for me. So between my 3 farms I hunt mainly, my 2 Fulton County farms, my house I've had 1 good buck, but he just recently went daylight. So as of October 15th, he was always showing up like past midnight. And then this farm that I was hunting here, I had a buck flirting with being daylight, but he never went daylight either, and he was by far the biggest buck I had on that farm. I had like 1 or 2 other ones that I would probably shoot, but they're probably like 130-ish range if I had to guess. But this by far was the biggest guy. I have not had him score yet, but I think he's going to be north of 150. So whenever I get that, I will let people know. But anyway, so October 15th, I checked all my cameras in the bottom field, and the plan was that day I had my saddle set up, and I had 3 pre-hung saddle setups. I'm like, I'm gonna take my card reader and I'm gonna check every single spot, and I'm gonna work my way to the back spot. If I find something I like at one of these trail cameras, I'll stop and I'll hunt that spot. He was all over 2 of the cameras, but always at night. So I'm like, okay, there's no point. There's no does, just small, like all the does are at night, and just small bucks during daylight. So I'm like, finally, I get to my last spot. I'm like, well, I'm going to hunt it. And this guy here, he had been there October 13th. He had been there at like 4 or 5 in the morning, and they picked the beans that day then. So in theory, what I was thinking was, I have a fresh scrape in front of me that he made. He has not been back since the 13th. We have a cold front. Obviously, that bean dust and just debris kicked up and covered his scrape. He's going to know that, and he's going to want to freshen up that scrape. It's all in my head thinking, like game planning.
Sounds good to me.
It does sound good.
Sounds logical.
Yeah. And the scrape's only 20 yards in front of my stand. And what I'm doing is, so this is something people should maybe keep in mind if they're saddle hunting. So we have a old style lock on hang on stand, heavy as hell, not very comfortable. What I do is I just use it as a platform. So I have all the sticks and everything already set up. Actually, it's the screw-in steps. So you just walk up. So somebody can hunt it if they don't saddle hunt. They can still hunt it. They just will be... They have to do a complete 180 to shoot. Or if I bring my saddle, I climb up and I hook up and I'm right there. And then it's a huge platform. And then I got this big oak tree right in front of me. So the deer, I expect all of the deer to come from my right, work their way towards me, and the scrape's 20 yards. And I actually I'm shooting the scrape a V through the tree, but I can shoot everything to the right as well. Well, had a doe come through probably 45 minutes to an hour before legal shooting light ended. Not a huge doe, but just a nice doe. Totally planned on shooting her. And Cody was alluding to self-filming, where self-filming is difficult. The camera saved her life. That's 100%. Yeah, she was 25, 30 yards. And she... Every time she moved through my window and I get the camera situated, get ready to pull back, she'd move. I'd get the camera situated, go to pull back, move. And I've said this before on some of the videos and other podcasts. Being the ringleader, I have to make sure I get the shot on camera because these guys will goon me to death if I don't get it on video. Because
absolutely,
as much shit as I give them, I know I'll get all kinds of shit. So I have to make sure. I am bringing now, so people clarify, I'm bringing 5 cameras to the woods with me. So I got the big camera that this podcast is being recorded with a GoPro on top that either can face me or face out. I have 2 action cameras that are set up. I usually try to do one like POV style, like on looking at me, and then one facing a wide angle. And then for the first time on this video, which is kind of cool that it was the first time I did it, was I almost wore one GoPro like a body cam, and it actually turned out really good for this video. So anyway, I probably that doe was on the wide view camera. I would have technically had the shot, but I wanted the big camera on it, so whatever. So I was kind of a little down in the dumps. I'm like, man, that was my one chance to get some meat in the freezer. My wife had just told me we only had like 3 pounds of deer burger left, so like, dang it, all right. But anyway, the last 15 minutes of shooting light, the big boy came out. And, he came out exactly where I thought he was going to come out at. And it's dead quiet at this point. The wind had died down, dead quiet. I get all the cameras on except for the back POV one because it had actually died. I had left it on after the doe. So all the other cameras were rolling. And kind of like Kyle said, like, you kind of panic because when he steps out of that corner, he's about 50, 60 yards. So he's right at the edge of my bow range. I can't shoot it. With a gun I could, but in that spot I can't shoot anyway. But I know, like, depending on what direction he's going to be in my bow range very quickly. And anyway, so I got everything on, ready to go. He kind of he's just feeding. And right away I could tell he's not coming to the scrape. He's taking an angle. He's going to walk kind of past the scrape, but he's going to walk past it like 20, 30 yards. So it'd be like a 50, 60 yard shot. But this spot I had range over and over again. I just had a feeling like if a deer takes this path, that's where he's going to be. It's 32 yards. And I knew it right away. And so anyway, sure enough, he takes that path. And honestly, I felt like I watched him for like an hour. It was like 5 minutes. Just watching. And I was panicking. I'm going to 100% clarify, I was not cool.
You were losing your shit.
Yeah, I was losing my shit. So right away when I saw him, I'm like, shooter. It was the buck I thought it was, the biggest one on the property. I would have been happy with the other two too, but by far the biggest. I knew right away if I got this buck, he's my biggest bow buck, if not my biggest buck. Spoiler alert, he was my biggest buck. But so he as he's coming out, I am got everything ready. I am freaking out, and finally, like, inner dialogue, Cody was like, Cody, get your shit together. Like, you've been practicing all year. You've done this before. Act like you know what you're doing. And it helped, actually. The self-talk helped. And so anyway, he came at 32 yards. I felt really good about the shot. One thing I've noticed when I've replayed it, he's quartered a perfect quartering away to me, but right before the shot he takes another step, so now he's quartering away hard, and I know for a fact I did not adjust my aim point to that. So I think my shot would have been back no matter what. Would have been through the guts. Well, as I shot right before impact, he whirled. Again, my shot would have been in the guts no matter what. I don't want to clarify saying like I made a perfect shot and the deer, just spun too quick. No, it would have been back no matter what. But when he took a step with the arrow, technically with the frame, it went through his back hip and went all the way through his body cavity. And I still don't know if it hit his offside shoulder or if it hit his brisket. Still don't know that for a fact. But I do know my arrow went all the way in him and disappeared. And but honestly, I thought I smoked him. Just being last light and stuff. Really thought I smoked him. When I'm looking on the little camera frame, it looks like I smoked him. And when he hit hard. Like his brisket went straight to the ground, fell, kicked up dirt, took off running. I find blood right away, and then once I get to like the end of the field into the trees, goes from decent blood to a lot of blood. So by the time I had checked that, it had been about 15 minutes. I ended up going to get help and call Kyle because I knew he was going to be done. Like, I need help, and boy did I where he died at. So anyway, get Kyle there. By the time we get back out there, it's been an hour. I was still pretty panicky. I think Kyle would agree with that. And I was, and I was pretty confident he was dead. And I started getting nervous. So 10 to 15 minutes we spent blood trailing this deer, and I kid you not, we never had to stop and be like, where'd he go? I mean, it was just tons and tons of blood. And towards the end of it, and I put it in the video, I got to give Kyle credit. If I was by myself, I would have backed out. 100% I would have backed out that night. I was getting nervous. We were like around the 300-yard range. He had been up and down several hills. But again, tons of blood, no beds yet. And I'm telling, like, I say something to Kyle, like, maybe we should back out. And Kyle's like, dude, there's a shit ton of blood here. Like, he's dead. Let's keep going. 2 minutes later, we found him. You know,
it was like 2 minutes later.
Yeah, and I freaked out when I found him. I mean, he was just as big as what I thought he was. He died in a very bad spot.
Always do.
Yeah, always do.
I was watching that with my wife, and she was laughing when you just went, Kyle!
Yeah.
He's like, oh, he hugged you!
Yeah. You can't judge us in the heat of the moment. Damn it.
She was laughing so much.
Yeah.
She's like, you guys are so funny.
I'm happy she found it funny. I was
like, yeah, he hugged me.
Yeah,
we tracked that thing for 300 yards.
Yeah. Yeah, it was not a fun drag. Definitely one of my worst deer drags. But we got him out. Again, I was hunting over picked bean field, scrape was the goal, and just timing a cold front in October. You know, those cold fronts are important, and it worked out for me. To be 100% honest with you guys, I've never killed a buck this early. The earliest I'd killed a buck before this was November 1st. So, I'm not going to lie, and I'm sure Cody's going to agree with me on this. It's nice to have a big buck down already.
Yes, it is.
I think you're checking trail cam too on most recent activity and hunting off of that and not hunting off like what you think they should do, but hunting off of what you see and reacting and sitting where do you see that. I think that helped a lot too.
Yeah, don't be wrong. I knew the bucks like that spot in the past, and October 16th, the year before, that's when Austin missed that big buck in that field. Yeah, not that buck, but I know mid-October. There seems to be at least one shooter buck in that area. So, worked out well. So, very, very happy with that. And he's currently at the taxidermist. So, that's another taxidermist bill. I have, as my wife likes to remind me, I have 4 animals I'm waiting on right now. So, that's going to be a nice bill in the end.
Yeah.
Always is.
Yep. Anyway, Cody, end on another high note.
Yep. So, that cold front, and everybody talks about weather plays a big factor in deer hunting. In middle of October, toward the end of October, it is the most important thing to hunt. I actually took Tuesday off from work. I said these temperatures are too low. I got to be out. Like this is going to be the time if I want to kill one. So Tuesday morning I go out and I sit a little different. I take my saddle out to the lease and I'm sitting in a different spot. I've never sat before on the edge of the pasture. And I'm like, okay, something's going to come through in there. And I ended up seeing a couple deer. But the deer were behind me. The property line's about 15 yards behind me. So I seen them all cruising that hillside, and I actually seen that buck Tuesday morning behind me coming out of the bean field, and I seen a glimpse of him and he was gone. I said, okay, I'm in the right area. So I actually didn't get to leave the stand till 11:30 that night, or 11:30 that morning, because I had deer everywhere. I'm like, I'm not shooting a doe. I've got the opportunity, but I'm not going to shoot one just in case he steps back out. So I get down, and then I walk over to check one of my cameras because the batteries were dead, so I put new batteries in it. And I look up on this hillside, and I see like a rub, and it looked like he'd started to make a scrape. I said, that's where I need to be. So that night, or Wednesday morning, I went up and hunted there. I didn't see anything. So I get down out of the stand. I go back there, the same exact spot that night, and it was one of the hunts I'll never forget. As long as I live, I'll never forget this hunt. But I had 2 button bucks about 3 o'clock walk right underneath me playing and going on, and then they walk up the hill and disappear. I thought, well, at least I seen something. That's all I can ever ask for. And so right before dark, it's like 6:25. I hear what I think is a 200-pound squirrel walking through this, and there's a big oak grove up there, so something's messing around in there. I'm like, okay, whatever, it's just a squirrel. In fact, it was not a squirrel. From the time, big squirrel. It was a giant squirrel. From the time I seen him to the time I shot was less than 45 seconds.
I gotcha.
I seen him right as he was getting ready to cross the creek. He steps up. He's like 33 yards right in that sweet spot, and I had one window to shoot him. One.
You were panicking, were you?
I was losing my mind up there because it was getting dark, and I'm in some deep timber. So I'm like, man, this is gonna be terrible. First instinct was to grab the camera. I wheeled the camera around, and I'm like, I've got to shoot now.
Yep.
So I grab the crossbow, I pull up on him, and I shoot. And he takes off like a bat out of hell, like just gone. I'm like, all right, well, I think I hit him. I'm still freaking out. Like, for 15 minutes, I couldn't move. I was shaking so bad. I'm like, oh, my God, did that just happen? Like, unreal. So I make my phone calls. I called you that night.
Yeah. What was I doing? I was doing something because I was in the tree. I was in the blind, so I couldn't answer.
Yep.
I'm like, if he's calling me, that means something good. Hopefully something good happened.
Yeah, something good did happen. But I get down and I'm freaking out. I'm like, okay, my Luminox not lit, so I don't see it. I should have passed through, so I'm like, okay, this is bad. I get down, I walk the first 15, 20 yards, and it is nasty thick through there. I had seen no blood. So I walked to the last spot where I seen him, and there's a drip of blood. I'm like, oh, perfect, I hit him. I can always back out. We can always, we do whatever we can. We can find him. So I start to step down the hill, and I leave at the base of the tree. I leave my bow, leave my bag. I leave absolutely everything up there. I'm just freaking out. I'm like, I got to find him. I got to put my hands on him. I got to find him. So I step down over the hill, and it looks like somebody massacred a 55-gallon drum. And there's blood just everywhere. I'm like, perfect. He's dead. I said, I don't know how far he is, but he's dead. So I walk down this real steep, nasty hill, and about 10 yards from there, right in the opening of the pasture, he was laying there dead. And he kind of scared me because the grass was taller than what he was. So I'm looking, I'm like, well, I don't see any more. Oh, well, there he is. I ran up and got my hands on him, and it just, oh, man, it was unreal.
And that was your biggest buck too, right?
Yep. So unofficially scored him. I scored him at 158 and an eighth. He's about 25 inches bigger than my biggest buck.
Can't beat that. My where's that? About fell. So this guy here was my biggest, and he was right at 140. So I know, obviously, like, so what I did is I threw him in between my skull. I'm like, he fits inside mine, and I know he would fit inside yours too. So that one, this guy was officially scored like almost exactly 140. So there, it was a good judgment for people who want to kind of get a visual here. So Cody's and my deer are wider and taller than him. Yours is very wide.
Yes,
very
he's
wide, very wide.
almost 22 inches in seam.
That was the first thing I noticed about your deer. He was super, super wide. And then, just go off of that. One thing we do need to talk about and I'm gonna give him a shout out too. Is we were both shooting rec there for our deer. So I was shooting the new HXP. That was my first deer with the HXP. With the HXP, and it actually broke that hip bone. Mine. I know I had given you that XP.
Yes, you did.
Like
I appreciate it.
Yeah, like a few days before, or a week before, or something like that. So I'm happy it worked out well for you.
Yeah, I shot it into the target just to make sure it shot good, and I had one retention collar. I'm like, I've got to make this work. And the deer was quartering to almost head on, and I went in the front shoulder, broke the front leg, went through the bone, and then it actually exited right in front of the rear leg. So it cleaned his clock. I hit lung, liver. I actually missed the stomach, thank God. But it just...
I did not.
No, you did not. It happens.
Yep.
But no, everything worked out flawlessly. I mean, that temperature and the big cold front in the middle of October, definitely. Without that, I don't think I would have shot that deer.
Yep. Nope. I would agree with you on that same statement. Well, number one, I guess before we end this, I'm gonna say thank you both for helping everything with the team and stuff. Go Kyle, your video. Obviously, I know you didn't get the second one on camera, but
unfortunately.
But your first video, I really, really like that angle, angle shot. You know,
Yeah, luckily I had it on twice. Yeah, both cameras I was using got it.
So that was, I thought it turned out really good.
Yeah, I was happy about that because I struggled a lot last year trying to get the shot on
it's
camera.
Tough. It is tough, and people who don't self-film, it is tougher than what you think. Cody, the first one was great too.
Second one? Yeah, not so much.
It's tough, and I've told everybody on the team too, like, I want you to get your deer, like, try to get the shot and stuff, but, I get it. Shit happens. I had the camera save a big buck last year, and it bothered me. But again, I know I got to get the shot on camera, so the goodie I'll get. But the whole team this year as a team, I feel like the whole team has stepped up when it comes to recording. Even my brother Colton's finally getting his crap together. I hope you listen to this, Colton. But he finally got a kill on camera, so you'd be excited to show that. But if you guys are listening to this, the last vlog that should be out that you could watch right now will have Kyle's second doe on it. We'll have the pictures, and in a little bit we'll loop in some of the story of Cody's buck, and should have my brother-in-law Garrett's doe on it as well. And he got that. That's on camera. And again, I don't know when it comes to this podcast what version, like what order I had us tell the stories. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast with our October success. It's definitely been our best October yet as a team, and it's still the 24th, so we still got some days. I wouldn't be surprised if some more deer die before it gets to November 1st.
Yeah, I hope so.
And I know we're all getting ready to start our rut vacation, so I know mine's longer than most. You're taking some days off. I know you got some days off, not as much. I'm gonna compliment you, Kyle. This whole time we've been hunting this October, Kyle has been on at least 2 different shifts during October. Have you been on all 3 shifts during October? When did you come to third? I don't remember.
No, I came to third in September.
Gotcha. So during the month of October, Kyle has had to go from third shift to day shift, and he's being trained the whole time. Field training, which any other law enforcement officers who are out there, you guys know how stressful field training can be, and you've had a good October.
I have.
So any other things to end this on, boys?
No, I just want to thank everybody. I mean, this year's been awesome, and it's just started. We've got the best part of the season's coming up. We've done an amazing job. I just can't wait to see what that magical November brings.
Yep. Well said. Can't beat that, Cody. Thanks again, guys, for having you guys on the team and recording and helping me and everything. And everybody else out there, make sure you check the website, the channel, all that good stuff, and like and subscribe. And be safe out there. Kill a big buck. Bye.